So let me ask you this. Do you need a website, or do you want to build a website for your company, or maybe for yourself? Now it requires to not less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. Okay, so what if I tell you you can actually build this yourself without the need of any developer, without hiring anyone, just by yourself? Now in this 1 hour tutorial, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step approach on how to build a website solely by yourself without the need of any developer. We're going to dive into technologies like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, we're going to talk about PHP as well, and the end AI to build this web application very easily without any hassle. You don't have to worry about any coding experience. All you have to do right now is to give me the time, and I'm going to make sure you never regret it. So this course is actually structured into 3 sections. The first part that is focused on how the web works. That is when we study how the internet works in detail. When you type something like facebook.com on the internet, how do you get the response? Okay, we look into all those things, and then after that one, we look into HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, these form the core of web development. We look into all these technologies in just about 20 minutes. You get to know about all this stuff. Alright. After that one, we look into how we're going to use AI to build web applications easily without any hassle. So in an hour, we carry all this content, and then you'll be able to build any web application that you want at the end. Stay with me and let's get started. Don't forget to tag anyone who may be interested in learning how to build web applications on his or her own. Into it to understand how the web works. So let's look at this illustration first of all. You see behind your laptop, and then you search for maybe adononline.com. adononline.com. Very good. Now you see what happened. A new page is what has surfaced, right? A new page has surfaced. That's showing me different contents and all kinds of things. The same way, when you search for facebook.com or whatever that you search facebook.com, a new page what shows. So let me ask you, the content that is showing right now, this content that is showing right now on the page, where is it coming from? This particular page that is showing here, where is it coming from? When you search for who is the president of Ghana, the result that you see, where are those results coming from? That is what you must understand. Let's look at these illustrations. So in this particular illustration, we can see 2 particular entities, right? You can see the first one. You can see, let me grab my pen too. Particular illustration, you can see 2 different entities. You can see this one. You can see this one, right? And then you can see this one. So this particular illustration here is representing you, all right, the user, okay? And this one here represents a virtual computer or a virtual infrastructure that is seated somewhere. Okay, now you are here, you are the user. You type facebook.com, or let's assume you type anything in the browser, facebook.com, or like we did Adom Online. Now anytime you do that, you are requesting for an information. You realize that after typing the Adom Online and we clicked on enter, we saw what? Different content, that is information, right? So anytime you type something in a browser, you are requesting for what? An information. So you have your PC here and you have typed Adom Online. That is an information I requested for, and that information is stored on a remote computer called the server. So think of a server as a computer that is seated somewhere around the world, all right, and houses or contains every information or millions of information, all right. So a server is seated somewhere and contains millions of what information. You need to have access to. Those information are identified by A unique address, a unique what? Address. All right. Think of it like a house address. Every house has its own address. So a delivery guy who is actually bringing something to you would have to know your house address to be able to bring it to the very location that you are. The same thing happens. Every domain name or every search that you make, every request that you make, you search for Adom Online. The name Adom Online is called a URL. It's called a URL. P stands for uniform resource locator. Okay, it stands for uniform resource locator Adom Online. So this uniform resource locator is the address of the what of the information you are requesting for. Okay, so that address is being used to identify the information you are requesting for, which is hosted on this remote computer somewhere here. So you send the request, oh please, I want to have information on Adom Online. That is a request. Okay, so the browser here, which can be Google Chrome, Opera Mini, or whatever browser you are using. The browser loads and sends the requests to the server. The server receives the request and then decides on what to do with the request, because it may be that you are requesting for an information, maybe an image or music or whatever information you are requesting, or you're trying to sign in into an account. Whatever you decide to do is a request. So the server decides on what to do with that request. After it has processed that request, it gives you a response that, oh, you requested for an information on Adom Online. After processing your request, here is the information on Adom Online. So take it back and then gives that information back to you. Okay, so basically you, the user here, you are using a browser. You are searching for TikTok. TikTok is stored on a remote computer that is seated somewhere around the world. All right, that remote computer is called a server. Okay, so the server then responds or gives feedback on the information that you requested for, and then it presents it to you. But when the information gets to the browser will have to show you the information in a very nice way. Okay, in a very nice way, because there's a standard language that is used by these two entities to communicate. You understand? So the browser cannot show the content to you in that standard language. It must be able to show the response in a very nice way. And how does it do that? It does that by using three technologies called, first of all, the first one called HTML. And then we have CSS. We have JavaScript. All right. So we have three entities: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Where HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and we have JavaScript. Okay, so the browser here, this browser that you see, the Google Chrome, the Opera Mini, the whatever that you are using, will have to use these three technologies, okay, to be able to present to you in a very nice way, in a very nice and visually appealing manner, so that it wouldn't look boring. Okay, so it needs these three technologies to be able to show you the content. Now let's see. There are times you may have your data stored on the internet. Example, your pictures. Where are your pictures stored? All right. Your name. When you log into Facebook, you can see every details about your birth date, everything. Where are those information stored? All right. So the moment you log into your account, you see all those information. Again, the browser sends a request to the server requesting for information. Now you are logged in. Oh, so the moment you are logged in, the browser sends, oh, Kojo is logged in. He wants to see his account details like his birth date, the place, the school he attended, or something like that. That information is stored also in something called the database. This is the database. So the database is, you also use a technology called what? SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. All right. We have different kinds of databases. We have relational and non-relational databases. We will talk about that one in advanced concept. But right now, what you must understand is that you have a database that also hosts or houses your information, and the server will have to execute another language called, or a server language called PHP, or any other server language to be able to retrieve that information. So the browser uses HTML, CSS, and then JS here. to show you the content. You request for an information here. The server executes a PHP code, all right, or it executes a server language. Okay, so and then there's it's queries for, or it fetches for the information from the database. After it has gotten the information, it then present the information to what? To you, the user, or to the client. So now we have the client here, we have the what? The server, and then we have the what? The database. All right. So these are the three things that we are actually dealing with now. So now let's look at the third illustration. So the browser contains three technologies: HTML, CSS, and what? JavaScript. And then we have the server that contains PHP. The browser contains these three things. The server contains PHP, and the database contains MySQL. So these are the various technologies that are needed in each of the what entities. And these are the technologies you're going to talk about and then dive into detail. Don't worry, you're not going to do a lot of coding. You just have to, I'm just going to introduce you to how these technologies work in about 10 or 20 minutes, and then you'll be good to go. You'll be able to build your own website. So just stay in touch. We are not going to code anything, all right? So these three technologies is what we actually need to know about. At least you don't have to know everything, but I'm going to show you the fundamentals, the requirements, those things that are required, or those things that you must know to be able to build a complete web and a functional website. Okay, so now I hope you understand how the whole page works. If you have any question, you can drop the questions in the comment section. I'll make time and then answer all questions regarding it. So you have three entities: the browser, we have the server, and the database. So now, what is web development? So web development now can be defined as what? Simply can be defined as simply building whatever happens inside this request response cycle. All right. So when building, okay, the process of building whatever happens between this request response cycle that you see here, building this is what we call web development. Web development. So in the next session, you're going to talk about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as well as PHP, and then what? MySQL, all in not more than 20 minutes. So you're going to learn everything in 20 minutes, and then we dive right into developing our first website without any hassle. Don't worry, you're not going to do any hard coding. You don't have to worry about anything like that. Sometimes I understand most of us feel overwhelmed when it comes to coding. Don't worry, this is not no coding experience is needed, and neither are you going to learn about any coding language. Don't worry, we'll get into it and know what I'm talking about. So meet me in the next session.